Hello Internet, my name is Taliesin.
And I'm Evitel.
And welcome to the Weekly Reset.
Or Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdom Show.
Your weekly look at the news and events in World of Warcraft this week. And what a show we've got for you today. What an episode. We've got
hold
drama.
On, what are you doing?
I'm telling all the people at home about the amazing episode of the Weekly Reset that we've got.
You're not looking at the camera.
Yeah, I am.
You've got to stop doing this. You know we've had people complain in the comments about you not looking at the camera. Is that what you want? Do you want people to write mean things in the comments?
No.
You know how you hate mean comments, don't you?
Yeah, they're the worst.
Okay, good. So you've got to look at the camera, okay?
Yeah.
Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I have to go change my robes.
Let's go to our main story.
There is much to be done.
Our main story tonight is all about one man and the chaos he can cause. That man is, of course, Hazzikostas, and that chaos, the almighty shit show that happens pretty much every time he opens his mouth. Because this week, we had one of those awesome Ian and Law Q&A panels. Now, I'm going to come straight out and say this. I love these Q&A panels. For all sorts of reasons. Firstly, there's the really obvious aspect in that here you have the guy who is the most influential person in the creation and development of this video game. I mean, Ian may look like a puppy that's just been told that the world has run out of tennis balls, but don't let those sad eyes deceive you, because Ian really does give a shit. And that's not a puppy, that's an actual picture of Ian. That's how he dresses when he doesn't have to wear his Legion bowling shirts. So now you're very thankful that those bowling shirts exist. For maybe the first time. But he gives a shit. And the fact that he will happily spend hours at a time listening to Law trying to pronounce names of people that have written questions is testament to that.
I really need to learn to read the names of people. WebKR3B5, I guess?
Krebs?
Web Krebs?
See, that would drive me absolutely insane. Law, I'm here to answer the questions. I don't actually give a shit about what the guy's name is. It's not even their real name. You know it's a made up name, Law, don't you? Like Law, for example. It doesn't actually matter. It's like the least important part of this exchange. Please don't spend so long trying to get the name right.
Anyway.
Okay.
And I like how he answers the questions too. He's thoughtful, he takes his time, he treats each question with the seriousness I think its asker would imagine it deserves, even though some of the questions really aren't very good questions. It was a good, largely uneventful Q&A. Ian cleared up some things like artifact appearances. The balance of power looks aren't going to be account-wide. That's good. Relics in patch 7.2, how they will all have 2 traits, including older relics already in the game, and how they'll all be throughput traits. More good news. He talked more about the team's attitudes towards legendaries, and even this most talked about and sensitive of topics. It all made good sense. It was good. I could have done with some more jokes, but it was interesting stuff. And then something happened. A change in our beloved Ian. And it started small, like these things often do, but for a moment, there was a glimpse of just a little bit of swagger. A little bit of sass.
AP.
Pesky developers.
Long-term.
We insist on doing things that affect the game.
Oh no, you didn't! Ian just basically laughed in a guy's face in front of thousands of people. That's like you asking the guy at the supermarket where the canned goods are and then just turning around and saying, I don't know, in the canned goods aisle, I'd imagine, fuckface. I mean, what he's saying is 100% correct, but it's not the way people usually say it. And then there was this.
All of that said, actually, I'm going to put a little bit of blame on some of the leaders and the members of these guilds.
No!
There may be a level of what's required to be competitive that isn't sustainable. And it's not the right thing for our game or for our game design to support that actively.
No! It was all going so well. Everyone was sort of happy. No one was that upset. And then this. It's like when you're visiting your racist gran and you've managed to keep the conversation civil, like about the weather or something. You've had a nice cake and some meat paste sandwiches, and then right at the end, just as you're getting ready to leave and you're thinking, oh, she's a lovely old lady, isn't she? She just blurts out, of course, I blame the Nick. And my favourite thing that happened probably this entire week is Law's face as he's saying this.
Of these guilds.
Because he's saying, okay, and yes, but he's thinking, fuck you, racist gran, here's another Chinese takeaway we can never come back to, thanks a fucking bunch. And I was thinking, I have to get to the forums right away and I have to see what's happening now. And I did, and I was surprised because actually when I got to the forums, there was a really calm, grown-up debate going on. I was actually really... No, obviously it was a shit show. Post number 1. What a fucking ass. Seriously, fire this guy ASAP. Brilliant. Fuck off Blizzard. This is so stupid, it's unreal. I'd say more, but fuck it, that's honestly enough. My favourite, who cares? He's a faggot selling product to as many retards as possible. So like I say, it was basically like an episode of The West Wing in its level of reasoned debate. I'm being unfair because around 50% of the comments on that thread were at least trying to understand Ian's point of view, if not agree with it. So what is Ian actually saying? The artifact power grind has been a consistent complaint about Legion from the very start. Initially it was a much quieter noise than the salt about legendaries, but since people have mellowed a bit on that subject recently, so the AP gripes have been getting louder. The idea that by having this resource which takes huge amounts of time specifically to try and stop you from farming it, you are creating misery for those that want to be competitive and so feel that they have no other option but to go out and farm it, which is an interesting idea, and one it's easy to feel sympathy for. If my guild told me that I had to have 54 traits on my artifact to be in the team, I would leave the guild, because seriously, fuck that. If they told me I needed 54 traits on an O as well, I'd probably report them to the police, because seriously, Zell, you are fucking insane. That is dangerous, dangerous talk. And so the question is, how do we protect those cutting-edge raiders from themselves, and have it so that they don't feel they need to go out and farm that stuff? It's a question Blizzard is trying to answer in 7.2, making the benefits from leveling your artifact so small that it doesn't really make all that much difference, or by making those benefits a proc as opposed to a flat-out buff, etc. But what Ian is saying here is, it's not our job to protect those players, and I can see his point. The fact is there's always going to be competitive players, and that's great, but by their very definition, competitive players will always be looking to gain an advantage over other players by the sheer amount of time that they put into the game. That's what makes them competitive. Those players are never going to stop doing that, whatever the system is. They're not going to sit back one day and say, well, we've done as much work as method in preparing for this next raid, let's leave it at that. That's not competitive. They'll want to work harder, longer. At the moment, artifact power is the most visible symptom of this, which is why it gets so much of the blame. But this has happened throughout the entire lifetime of the game. I'm not saying the artifact power system is perfect. Far from it. And you know what? Neither is Blizzard, which is why they are currently experimenting with ways to change it on the PTR. But I agree with Ian. It's not AP's fault that people grind the shit out of the game to have an advantage over other players. If you accept that is going to happen, whatever the system, isn't the next step to realise that you shouldn't be trying to design systems which supposedly prevent that and focus instead on creating something which is fun for everyone else? And that's where I'd like to leave it, but then, later on, Lore took to the forums to try and further explain the procky nature of the new artifact traits by using the example of Todd, whose cause might be helped slightly if his raid team understood that the reason they just wiped to a boss wasn't because Todd is a shit player, but because he was unlucky with his artifact procs. Even though I have to be honest, Todd sounds like he might be a bit of a shit player. Other posters soon joined in with their own take on the Todd example, and by the end, I have to admit, I did end up feeling quite sorry for Todd, even though it is totally his fault that his raid wiped to that boss. So I would implore you all to write some sincere messages of support to Todd in the comments below this video with the hashtag #NotTodd'sFault. And Todd, if you're watching, we know it's your fault the raid didn't kill that boss because you seriously can't seem to get your head around a pretty simple rotation. I mean, fuck Todd, you're a beast mastery hunter, come on. But I want you to know that we don't blame you, Todd. We believe in you, Todd. And we know that whatever problems you may be having, we think it's nothing a couple of good weak auras can't fix. As well as maybe just for a change, how about you don't stand in the fire for like one pull? Seriously? We know you can do it, Todd. And just you wait. Next week, we're going to get that boss. And if we don't, we will probably bench you. But until then, not Todd's fault. Oh, and they talked about tanking trinkets too, which was sweet. Yes, sort that out, please, Blizz. What's the other news this week, Evitel?
You wouldn't think it from how long Taliesin just took on the first story, but there has been plenty of other news in Azeroth this week. The data mining of 5 new emissary mounts for one. We've done a whole video on this, which you should definitely watch because it is hilarious and informative. But essentially, these are reputation mounts that you get from caches that you get by going higher than Exalted Reputation for the 5 native Broken Isles factions. They are pretty awesome, so definitely check out the video. And on the subject of mounts, you still have until the next reset to farm your artifact bits and make that beautiful sparkly ghost moose all yours. That's the actual game reset, not the next episode of this show, which is called the weekly reset. That comes up later. Don't use this as a timer for anything ever, seriously. Really don't. We'll let you down. Timekeeping is not our thing. In other news, Blizzard announced this week that soon they will be ending support for Windows XP and Vista for all of their games, including World of Warcraft. If that means you, then seriously, how are you even watching this video? But joking aside, if this means you, then you're going to have to upgrade to at least Windows 7. Do you think you can manage that? Like, seriously, Windows 7. Would that be too much trouble? It's not like we're asking you to get a BlackBerry or an Xbox 360 or Amazon Prime or any of those other crazy futuristic things that make the world so confusing. Windows 7. And bear in mind, Windows 7 was the recommended operating system for vanilla WoW in 2004. XP and Vista have never even been enough to recommend ever in the history of WoW. Can you even understand what I'm saying right now? Or should I speak in rhyming couplets and iambic pentameter like all your other medieval friends? I can't imagine this news will really affect anyone. We just thought it was cute. Sorry for going a bit overboard there.
And PvP changes happened. A big list of hotfixes, an attempt to even things out a bit, which usually works pretty well as I understand. But PvP isn't really our thing, so I'm going to explain it as best I understand it. Overall, 10 different classes got some adjustment, with the biggest buffs going to Unholy Death Knight. They have definitely become more killy. More killy than they were before. And Fire Mages and Assassination Rogues, they've become a bit less killy. So, you know, less killing for them. Let's never do PvP news again.
Holiday news, and this week saw the hatching of the Hippogriff's mini-holiday, where players could travel to Feralis and witness for themselves a cute little griffling's first moments in the world, and make a new friend in the process. Like all mini-holidays, it only happened for a very limited time, but don't worry if you missed it, because us being the professional WoW-tubers that we are, we decided we would play through it and record our experiences for you on this show, so you could see it through our eyes. Like when we played Heroes together on last week's episode, that kind of thing. Or at least we were going to.
We fucked it up. Yeah, so basically what happened was we were all set to go, weren't we? And we were really looking forward to it.
So ready.
I know I was looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
Those tiny little hippogriffs. All cute
on
and
your
lovely.
shoulder.
And on your shoulder. They go on your shoulder. And, you know, I was raiding and doing videos and stuff. And then we thought, it's okay. It's 11 p.m. We've still got 1 hour to go.
Right?
Before the end of the hatching of the hippogriffs.
Oh, yeah.
And that is more than enough time.
We went to Feralis. We went to the place.
And we looked around, looking for these beautiful hippogriff eggs
Yeah.
that we could watch hatch.
Right.
And there was nothing.
Nope.
Nothing there.
Just empty nests.
Yeah. And we thought, do you know what? Being a nature photographer is hard. It takes patience.
Oh, yeah.
So we fucking sat there.
Yeah. Well, I didn't sit there. I flew around in circles.
Yeah, you
frantically.
did. You were very proactive.
Spamming trade chat.
I was very proud of you. And we looked at the clock in our house, and it was like 11:30. And we were like, there's still half an hour of the hatching of the hippogriffs left.
Yep.
Where are these fucking hippogriffs? They can't all have hatched. That's ridiculous. Not half an hour early.
Yeah.
And then we looked at the clock in game for the server.
Gets you every time, doesn't it, server time?
Yeah, because it was actually midnight.
Yeah.
And we had missed the hatching of the hippogriffs.
Yeah. Although I did see someone in trade chat going, weird event. And I was going to respond to them being like, you missed it, but then I was like, you know what?
But he thought like that was the event.
Yep.
That's even more beautiful.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Actually, as it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, let that be a lesson to you people in the UK. Never ever forget that server time is an hour ahead of our time. Mm-hmm. Because I forget that for raids sometimes as well.
Uh-oh.
And I rock up. And I'm like, I've got my potions.
I'm
got my
ready,
food.
guys.
I'm ready.
I'm
Where
like
are
5
you?
minutes early.
And it's like, I don't remember killing this boss before. What happened? Where is everyone? And that's pretty much what happened to us.
Story of my life.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
With the hatching of the fucking hippogriffs.
God
But
damn. Do we have to wait until
we have to wait for another year.
next year?
Another year. Minus an hour.
You know what? As long as they don't give me a hippogriff mount, as long as I didn't miss a hippogriff mount, I'm okay.
Well, who knows? If you did take part in the hatching of the hippogriffs, please let us know how it went. Please send us all your fucking amazing photos.
So we can live through it vicariously.
Yeah, exactly. You were supposed to live through it vicariously through us, But now the tables have turned.
It's all wrong.
And we need to live through it vicariously through you. So we're a terrible news show, basically, this week.
We're basically making you do the news.
Yeah, and it's not even Friday.
God.
We're fucking awful. Which I guess brings us to the end of this episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin and Evitel's wondrous wisdom show. I thought it was a great episode.
Me too.
I thought it was a classic.
I think we did okay.
I think it was at least our second best ever episode.
No way.
At least.
That's high praise.
Absolutely, definitely. Thank you for joining us. If you did like the video, you can like it if you like. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. And remember, my name is the Dodgy Kebab.
And I am the hairy hippo.
Yes, you are.
Yeah?
No, you're not. We are
what?
Taliesin and Evitel. A special thank you to all of our amazing patrons who give their actual real-life money to make this show exist. Guys, thank you so much. Without you, these videos would be even rarer and even later than they already
And even
are.
worse.
They would be much worse,
they'd be
actually.
worse.
And until next time, cheerio. I don't know why I did that weird pointy thing. It should have been. You did it right. You did a wave.
Yeah.
I did a cheerio. It was more of like a hi. I fucked it. Sorry.
okay.
See you next time.